Welcome back to Evolving Manhood. Today I want to talk about a phrase we've all heard before. Relationships should be 50-50. It's a simple idea. It sounds fair, it sounds balanced, it sounds modern. But if you've lived long enough, loved long enough, raised children, paid bills, worked overtime, cared for aging parents, or walked through difficult seasons, you know something important. Life is rarely 50-50. Some days you're carrying 80%. Some days you're carrying 20. Some days you're carrying everything you have just to make it through the front door. The real question isn't whether a relationship is perfectly equal. The real question is whether both people are committed to carrying the load together. Because mature love isn't about keeping score. It's about creating balance.
It's 50-50 in the relationship. 50-50 spending, 50-50 taking care of all responsibilities, 50-50 taking care of the kids. Why has this 50-50 thing been so prominent, and why does it not work for both men and women?
All right, so as far as why it has risen to prominence is, again, I think it's this fight for equality. We're fighting so hard and we're losing sight of the bigger picture of balance. Balance is what we need for success, not equality in the relationship. And I would argue that equality in a relationship does not actually exist. Because if you were to examine 50-50 relationships, what you will find is over time, it's going to shift to one person doing more than the other. And I would argue 90% of the time, it's the woman doing more than the guy. Because think about this. The mindset of the man who wants to do 50-50 is very different than the man who's so in love with this woman that he wants to provide for her. His willingness to even accept 50-50, he's gonna be reluctant to do that. It's kind of like going on a date with a guy and one guy's down to pay Dutch and the other guy's like, don't take your card out, I got this. They already have a very different mindset. So that guy who's open to 50-50 from the jump, the chances that he's gonna change later on and wanna take on more is not likely.
Stop counting and start contributing. Many men have been taught to approach relationships like a spreadsheet. Who paid for what? Who did more chores? Who changed more diapers? Who sacrificed more this week? But healthy relationships don't thrive on accounting. They thrive on contribution. Imagine two men. The first man asks, "What's the least I can do and still call this a relationship?" The second man asks, "What more can I do to make life easier for the people I love?" Those are two completely different mindsets. One is focused on obligation, the other is focused on investment. As men, we often talk about provision only in terms of money, but provision is much bigger than a paycheck. Provision can be emotional stability. Provision can be reliability. Provision can be protection. Provision can be presence. Provision can be coming home exhausted and still finding enough energy to ask your family how their day went. The strongest men I know aren't obsessed with fairness. They're obsessed with stewardship. They understand that leadership often means carrying more without announcing it, not because they're keeping score, but because they care.
He's gonna get comfortable in that 50-50 or do even less. Also consider this, even when we say 50-50 on the bills, 50-50 on the bills, in my opinion, would be 20% of your income, 20% of their income. That's not what a lot of people do. The mortgage is, let's say, $1,500 and we split it 750, but the guy, let's just say, makes $80,000, the woman makes $40,000, right. That's not equal.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? She's making a much bigger sacrifice than he is.
Right.
Life changes the weight. One of the greatest myths about adulthood is that everything stays equal. It doesn't. There will be seasons when your wife carries more. There will be seasons when you carry more. There will be seasons when one person's health declines, seasons when careers change, seasons when children require more attention, seasons when grief enters the home, seasons when finances become difficult. Balance doesn't mean both people are carrying the same weight. Balance means the weight is being carried well. Think about a bridge. A bridge remains balanced not because every beam carries the exact same load. It remains balanced because every part does what it's designed to do. The same is true in relationships. Mature men understand that flexibility is strength. Sometimes leadership means stepping forward. Sometimes leadership means stepping aside. Sometimes leadership means seeing what needs to be done before anyone asks. The man who waits to be told every responsibility is not leading, he's reacting. Growth begins when we stop asking, "Whose job is this?" and start asking, "What does this moment require from me?"
That alone eliminates this idea that it's 50-50.
What about the whole raising the kids thing of like, you gotta, you know.
Exactly. Raising the kids. Now, of course, are there scenarios where sometimes it's the man who ends up doing more? Absolutely. But in most cases, the woman naturally gravitates to being the one who handles the kids more. That's what you're gonna find. So again, you're gonna start to see it get skewed in certain areas to where you're not maintaining this 50-50. But then if we go deeper into why this doesn't work. So one, it doesn't work because it's not really sustainable in the vast majority of cases. I'm not saying no one's ever pulled it off, but in majority of cases, it doesn't work. Number two, there was a study that shows, I believe it was a study, that said egalitarian relationships are like the most sexless marriages or the most sexless relationships.
Egalitarian meaning like
Equal.
50-50
equal, you know what I'm saying?
Sexless.
Yes.
Why is that?
Because basically you're neutralizing the masculine and feminine polarity.
Polarity of it.
Exactly. It's now just neutral.
Flat.
It's flat. It's not, there's no excitement there. There's nothing there. It kind of reminds me of this guy. I don't want to put him on, but I don't know his name, so I guess I could say it. There was this guy on Twitter, I think it was like late last year, and he posted that how his wife just came home from like a 16-hour shift or something crazy like that, and here she is shoveling the snow in the driveway, and how he's so proud of her. Let me get her coffee ready. And the commenters ate him up. Like, they went in. But, in his mind, we're equal, we're 50-50. Look at her doing all these things. But in reality, if a woman has to come home to a man that puts her in that position all the time, doesn't step up, she's gonna start to lose attraction. And you're, again, overburdening the woman. What a man has to understand, and it's actually mentioned in the book, The Way of the Superior Man,
yes,
where he says, don't make your woman your everything. I think what men underestimate is that women are in their head a lot. They're constantly thinking, constantly processing. So if too much is on her plate, she becomes mentally exhausted, mentally worn down. Yes. So when the woman says, I'm too tired for sex, the man thinks, well, you weren't doing nothing all day. Her mind was a million different places all day. By the time she got to this moment, she does not have the energy. When the mind goes, the body goes with it. So when you put too much in front of her, you are taking away her ability to thrive in certain areas. So as the book mentioned, you want to identify as a man, what do I need most from her? What's going to be most important from me? Let's now hone in on those things and find someone else to take care of the rest. Hey.
Protecting peace.
One point from the conversation stood out to me: mental exhaustion. Many men underestimate how powerful mental weight can be. We understand physical fatigue, we understand sore muscles, we understand long work days, but mental overload can drain a person just as deeply. And here's where wisdom enters the conversation. A man cannot solve every problem for the people he loves, but he can help create an environment where peace has room to grow. He can reduce unnecessary burdens, he can communicate clearly, he can be dependable, he can handle responsibilities without needing applause. He can become the kind of man whose presence lowers anxiety instead of increasing it. That doesn't mean carrying the entire world. It means becoming strong enough to carry your portion well. Many men spend years trying to become successful. Few spend the same amount of time learning how to become peaceful. Yet peace is one of the greatest gifts a man can bring into a home. Not perfection, not wealth, not status. Peace. Because when a man is grounded, disciplined, and emotionally mature, the people around him feel it. His family feels it. His friends feel it. His coworkers feel it. His children feel it.
The goal was never 50-50. The goal is cooperation. The goal is balance. The goal is becoming the kind of man who doesn't measure every sacrifice, but understands the value of making them. There will be days when you carry more. There will be days when others carry you. Both require humility. As you continue evolving, remember this: a strong man isn't defined by how little he can give while remaining comfortable. He's defined by how much responsibility he can carry while remaining compassionate. Because manhood isn't about keeping score. It's about building something worth sharing the load for. Until next time, keep growing, keep leading, and keep evolving. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Peace.